Hello and welcome to the BVB update for October 14th. I'm Stefan Butzko and in this format I cover Borussia Dortmund news and other shenanigans. And today I'm starting with the news conference ahead of Sunday's match against league leaders Union Berlin. And of course I'm starting with the injury news. And Terzic obviously talked about it saying, quote, apart from the long-term injuries, there's nobody that will be definitely out on Sunday. There are 4 little question marks. The first one is Thomas Meunier, who has suffered a groin injury during the match against Sevilla. He has dealt with a groin issue for several weeks now. However, our medical check did not reveal anything dramatic, which is why he will participate in parts of today's training, and there's hope that he can play on Sunday. The other question mark is Anthony Modeste, and there Terzic said that Tony also felt his thigh when he was subbed off on Tuesday. He was scheduled to participate in today's training. However, he has dealt with a gastric flu in the past days, and we have to see if he feels fit enough to make the trip to Berlin. The third question mark is Raphael Guerreiro, who got a knock on his foot, and there Terzic said that Dortmund still have to see how the swelling on his foot or toe is, and he will be back in training either today or Saturday. So Dortmund are positive that he can make the trip, and maybe most importantly, Marco Reus is the fourth question mark, and I guess the fact that he already is a question mark is good news. And there Terzic said Marco Reus already participated in team training since Wednesday almost in full. He will be fully involved in the next 2 training sessions. If he doesn't have any setbacks, then we can expect him to make the trip as well. I can't say if Marco will be fit enough to start the match, but he obviously is very important for our game, not just for our attack, but also in pressing. We hope that he stays healthy and has a successful year for us and the German national team. And Terzic also talked about Sunday's opponent, saying Union Berlin do a great job, not only sporting director Oliver Runert, but also their coach Urs Fischer. Consistency is one of the keys. They compensate the players that they are losing very well without spending too much on the transfer market. You sense a harmonious atmosphere in the team, and it looks like everyone knows their role on the pitch. Additionally, they have a great support, especially during home matches. It's a healthy mix to play successful. And then he continued, now they've been at the top of the table for 4 consecutive match days. They are managing that very well. Playing at the Alte Försterei, which is a stadium, is never easy. And he was asked about how Dortmund's maybe struggling attacking output will break down the very rigid defense of Union Berlin, who, remember, only have conceded 6 goals so far in the Bundesliga. And there Terzic said, we create many chances. Our downfall has been efficiency, but we are working on that. Union don't allow many chances, so we have to be very precise, except for the 6-1 win against Schalke and their 2-0 loss against Frankfurt. All of their games have been decided by a singular goal, but I also want to point out that they have also scored 16 goals, so it is not just their defense that is very good. And Terzic was also asked about Karim Adeyemi, who has not produced a goal or an assist in the Bundesliga yet. And today he said, quote, Adeyemi did not have an easy start because of the toe injury that he suffered against Leverkusen. He obviously adds a dynamic to our game. You could see that with his cameos off the bench against Schalke and Bayern, but against Sevilla, we were unhappy with our attacking output, and that included him. Given his pace, we want to see him in different spaces. We want him to make the run in behind the defense more often. And obviously, Edin Terzic was confronted with a question about the set pieces, because Borussia Dortmund have the same defensive malaise as in recent seasons, and obviously Union Berlin have already scored 5 set-piece goals in the Bundesliga and are thus a very dangerous team. And there Terzic said, quote, Union Berlin are very creative in their set-pieces. We will train set-pieces today and tomorrow because we know how things unfolded in previous years. If they take the lead via a set-piece and the roof flies off the stadium, then it's going to get very tough to win there. And in that regard, a quick quote by Niklas Süle, who obviously said that after the match against Sevilla, but nevertheless, he did talk about set pieces there too, and he said, quote, we conceded another shitty set piece. We got to sit down and look how we can improve defending that ball deliveries. Basically, it's the simplest thing to defend. You just got to want it more than the opponent, which I think was a more or less snazzy quote. And thus it goes into my BVB update, and I'm now moving on with what Ruhr Nachrichten did report today, and that is obviously a broader article about Dortmund's left back situation, which is far from ideal. They are calling it Dortmund's Achilles, if you will, one of the weak spots. And in that article, they also say that Borussia Dortmund are hesitant to extend the contract with Raphael Guerreiro, which is obviously running out at the end of this season. And the reasoning from the club right now is that performances are inconsistent. He has obvious defensive weaknesses and he is also injury prone. But Ruhr Nachrichten write that according to their sources, Guerreiro would like to extend because him and his family have settled down in Dortmund and he's feeling comfortable where he is and does not want to leave, which I guess makes sense. But in my honest opinion, I think Dortmund should extend his contract because he is one of the best footballers on the team and he does make the difference for them a lot of times, and I think he is a very good player to have. But nevertheless, it is very clear that Dortmund need to find a better left back in general who can actually defend and be solid and reliable. And I don't know, if the budget does not allow for both, then maybe improve on that position. But in the meantime, it's going to be hard to improve on Guerreiro's footballing skills. So I personally would extend him, even though he is a controversial figure. Let's move on to the next subject. And Ruhr also picked that one up. But it's more the players saying that fatigue is becoming an issue. Julian Brandt after the Sevilla game said that personally I generate pretty well, but when I see some of the boys at the training ground or after the games, I have to say that it's really close to the limit. And Jude Bellingham, who you all saw struggle against Sevilla, he obviously did not play his best game there, even though he did score and won the Player of the Match award, said, quote, "The strain is taking its toll on me personally. I didn't feel very well before the game. After the game, I was very, very tired." And if we look at the stats and minutes played, Jude Bellingham has played 1,260 minutes in 14 games, which is obviously the maximum you can play. And Nico Schlotterbeck has played 1,000 minutes and 99, and Raphael Guerreiro also almost 1,000 minutes. Thomas Meunier in fourth in minutes-wise with 947, and Julian Brandt already fifth. Marco Reus 836, and Anthony Modeste has played also over 800 minutes. So already a lot of players have a lot of minutes in their legs. Overall, I think it's a bit of a problem. And Terzic was asked about the subject also at the news conference, but he basically said that he's not talking about tired legs ahead of a game, maybe after a game. But he did also say that basically rotation is very much key. So I'm intrigued to see who actually makes the trip to Berlin, so I can get my lineup prediction out tomorrow. But there are a couple other stories, and one that came out on October 10th, where Sebastian Aller is being interviewed by UEFA.com, and the headline is "Aller standing strong in cancer battle." And it's a good read, where he was also talking about how his chemotherapy is going, and he said, quote, "I spend 5 days at a time at the hospital where I'm hooked up 24/7. I can't get out of the bed while the treatment is being injected into my body. Then I get 2 weeks of rest. That's one phase, and I have to do that 4 times, 4 phases of chemotherapy lasting roughly 3 weeks each. After that, depending on how my cancer is progressing and how it is spreading, I may be forced to undergo surgery. A lot of people are asking me when I will be back, but there's a lot to take into account, so it's hard to give them a straight answer. I'm lucky enough to feel well. I'm physically able to work. I feel fine from both the mental and physical point of view, which of course is helpful to fight this disease." So keep on fighting, Sebastian. Do not put yourself under any more stress. We will all be happy to see you return when you're ready. But in the meantime, I just hope that everything goes well, and best of luck. And another piece on BundesligaFan.com, and the headline here is Adeyemi and Malen need to deliver more for Borussia Dortmund. And Matthew Bird, the author, makes very obvious points because both have 0 assists and 0 goals in the Bundesliga. And considering that Dortmund basically shelled out 60 million euros for both these players, they need to start performing and adding to their numbers. I mean, yes, Adeyemi probably should have had an assist against Bayern, and I think overall his development is rather positive. But on the other hand, I think especially Daniel Malen needs to do much better. I think Lars Paumann had a tweet saying, remember when Malen's season started because he rinsed a third division fullback and then he did fuck all for 3 months. Sort of sums it up. I think Daniel Malen, even though he of course had an injury, also has been very disappointing this season, and I will hope that he can snap out of his funk. It's especially unbecoming that he cannot find a teammate when a striker or someone else is in better position right now. He's just too hell-bent on breaking his scoring duck and making life hard for himself and his teammates, and therefore for Borussia Dortmund and the fans in consequence. So yeah, this is it for today. Thank you so much for watching the BVB update. I shall be back with the lineup prediction tomorrow, and yeah, maybe we can gloss over the Bundesliga match day as well, depending on whether I record it before or after the match day. We shall see, but yeah, either way, enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch you tomorrow and then hopefully on Sunday as well. Until then, as always, thank you for watching and goodbye.